G'day everyone, Steve here from Chronicle Chamber, doing a video review of Frew's latest trade paperback, The Phantom, the Man Who Cannot Die. First of all, big shout out to my local comic shop, Heroes HQ. As of time of recording, this was still the only comic shop who had this book in. So Heroes HQ in Ballarat, you're doing it well. Now, The Man Who Cannot Die is of course Frew's second trade paperback. The Phantom for those who came in late, which was the stories behind the legend, which was released last year. As you can see, both books are of a similar size, but more on that later. This book, The Man Who Cannot Die, is about 200 pages long, thick, as you can see there. The paper is nice and thick. And as you can see, there's some great colour in there. I'll get to that in just a moment. It really is a very well put together publication. First off, the most striking thing is, of course, the cover. Now, Dudley, the publisher of Frew, does a fantastic job of talking about the cover and how it all came about. And the illustrator is Freddie Williams, who is known, Freddie Williams II, who is known for his work with the Batman / Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle titles. And if you've ever seen those in the comic shop, the cover artwork on that is fantastic. Now, we don't want to nitpick, but we are Phantom fans and we do like to make sure everything is correct. You will see that the skull ring is on the Phantom's left hand here. Please don't get up in arms about it. There is an explanation later in the book. But that's really just nitpicking. It's a really a dark, well, don't know how dark, but it's definitely a gritty realisation of the Phantom. It's not your smiling Phantom of, say, a Siberiesque type thing, nor is it the Phantom that maybe a Ray Moore or McCoy fan might be used to. I think it's a very modern take on our old hero, and I, for one, really like it. Gives it that good jungle feel. You've got to remember, the jungle isn't always this nice, safe, beautiful place. You know, it gets dark and a bit gloomy every now and then. And yes, his sign is the skull, so it's going to be going to have that element to it as well. I won't say any more about that. I think Dudley does a fantastic job in his message to the publisher, or from the publisher, which is here on the first couple of pages. Now you'll notice, that's just happened there, that stories introduced with a old school cover. These are the book contains 3 Lee Falk stories and 3 sequels to those Lee Falk stories. Those stories, of course, being, as you can see here in the contents page, The Return of the Sky Band, The Movie Stars, and The Slave Market of Mucar. So all Lee Falk and all by different illustrators, different artists. So Ray Moore, Wilson McCoy, and Cy Barry, of course. Now those 3 stories have been given the sequel treatment by Frew's Australian creative team. Well, I'll say Australian, even though Felmang does get a look in on the final story. But Revenge of the Sky Band is by Andrew Constant and Jason Paulos, who you would know from Kid Phantom and Phantom by Gaslight, Gaslight fame. Jungle Love by, I think it's Pidde, Andersson. I'm sure I'm going to get told off about pronouncing his name wrong. And Australian artist Shane Foley. And The Child Soldiers of Mucar by Maccanti and Romano, Felmang and Morrik. So it looks like Felmang had a bit of help on that one. It only took me a day to read this book because it just held me. It really was a fantastic publication. I've really enjoyed reading it. And catching up on these old stories was really good. Unlike a lot of fans, I don't have a photographic memory of all the old school fan stories, so it's good to read these again, even though I haven't read these in about 20 or so years. So reading Return of the Sky Band was excellent. As you can see, it's been recoloured, and that's been done by Ivan Pedersen. has done the colouring for most of the stories in this book, unless otherwise noted. So this is Return to the Sky Band, and as you can see, it's very vibrant. Now this will be just a simple video review. For a more in-depth analysis with the three of us from Chronicle Chamber, please stay tuned for a upcoming podcast. So as you can see, this the 1941 story has been recoloured, as was mentioned before, but it's done in such a way that it still gives it that old school feel. It hasn't been completely, the word I'd use is modernised, and you'll see what I mean when I turn to the next story. It still looks like it comes from the 1940s era. There's still the grainy patches, there's still some fading in the colour to give it that old school feel. I haven't read the Hermes reprints, so I don't know how it stacks up beside them. But I think the colourist has done a great job in trying to keep to the era. Whereas if we turn over to the more modern story, like even in the title page, you can see the difference in the colours, okay, in the way the colours have been done. So this is, of course, Revenge of the Skyban, which I said was done by Andrew Constant and Jason Paulos. This is a quite a quick adventure, which really does tie in well from Return of the Skyban. I don't want to flick through all the pages there because I don't want to spoil the story for you. But of course, we have Sala, we have the Phantom, we got the seaplanes going, and as you can see, we're into the jungle setting now with the with some of the Phantom's friends over there, and as you can see, they are in quite a bad way. The art, of course, is striking. Sala's in a bit of trouble. I'll leave it about there so I don't spoil the story for you. But as you can see with the colours, they're quite solid colours. They're not that grainy texture that you'd get from the 1940s. Moving on. There's a nice finish to the story. Try not to give you any spoilers there. Okay, so the next story here is The Movie Stars. So as you can see, it's got the title page, which kind of is a bit of a throwback to the Countback Collector's Edition ones that Frew has been publishing. Now here, the colours, they're less grainy than they were in 1940, so this is the 1950 story with McCoy. I feel that the colours are a lot more solid in this story. And it's nice and clear. It really adds another dynamic to this story. Unfortunately, I don't have the original publication from Frew to compare the colour to the black and white, but I'm sure you've got a newer collection and you can go ahead and do that if you like. So, of course, this is The Movie Stars. Won't go on about the story, but you get an idea of what it looks like. As you might be able to hear it, but the pages, they're nice and thick. You're not in any danger of ripping these. It's a nice, I don't know what the GSM or those technical type of words are, but they really are quite a solid page. As we move on, you get an idea of the colours. Once again, great job there, Ivan. And we have the sequel to The Movie Stars, which is, of course, Jungle Love, which was the movie that they were shooting in The Movie Stars. This, of course, is the writer was Pidde Andersson. Let me know how I've done with the pronunciation there, Mr. Andersson. And artist is, of course, one of Chronicle Chamber's favourites, Shane Foley. And the colour on this one is Sarge, so not Ivan on this one. This was good fun. You get an idea of their sense of humour just by looking at the casting down the bottom, who actually don't appear in the story, but it's a good fun part there. Without spoiling too much of the plot, I did think this was a nice little touch here, this panel. So the Phantom, as he's in Mr. Walker outfit, he's having a private screening of the movie for reasons that you have to find out for yourself. And I really like the title screen here, Benga Films, in association with Pidde Andersson presents and Frew Australia, and then I just thought that was a nice touch. And there are plenty of those little Easter eggs throughout this story. Nice big panels, nice and clear, which is a lot different to the little ones from the traditional stories. Same sort of deal with the earlier story. Nice big panels, nice and clear, done in Jason's style there. Finally, don't want to give away the plot there, we have The Slave Market of Mucar, one of Cy Barry's stories. As everyone knows, I won't go into the story about it. This is really just an idea of what it looks like, and I think it looks very, very good in the colour, given the colour treatment. This has been given the sequel treatment by Maccanti, who some of you may know from, he's been writing a couple of Phantom stories for Frew now, and he's also working on the Phantom board game. Now, there is the title page for the Child Soldiers of Mucar, the sequel. On this, I'm not going to do much in the way of criticism, but this is something I would have liked to have seen for the older stories as well. Them giving a new cover page treatment rather than the old school Frew cover, which is what we're seeing in the Countdown collectible editions. So it would have been nice to have a new cover, a new title page or splash page for each story. That's a very minor criticism, but still one that I'd like to put out there. And of course, I open up. It's got to be a Felmang story. There we have Diana in a state of undress. It's got to be Felmang. It's what he does. I won't spoil the story for you. I'll go across it quickly, but as you can see, a lot of action. Diana's in there, getting into the action, which is always nice. We don't see Diana as a damsel in distress, because she's not. She's quite capable of taking care of herself. And I think that both the author and the artist have done a great job of depicting that. And as we come to the end of the book, we have some of the concepts art that Freddie did, and you can see that originally he did have the Phantom on the other side, but you can have a look at that yourself. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Okay, overall, I'm very, very impressed with this book, The Phantom, The Man Who Cannot Die. I think Frew have done an outstanding job with it for their 70th anniversary. A lot of love, care and attention has gone into this book. One thing that I will say, whereas their first paperback, for those who came in late, had a theme of introducing people to the Phantom. You know, that's why it was called For Those Who Came in Late. It gave all these backstories to the Phantom. Calling this The Man Who Cannot Die, you might think that the adventures in it would really play up that title. You know, have the Phantom seemingly killed, but then coming back. But that doesn't really come through in any of these stories. That is a very minor criticism, because you can look at it in much more different ways. The Man Who Cannot Die. The Phantom is going to continue going on. Frew's been publishing him for 70 years. He's been around the world for 80 plus years. He's not going away, and we really hope that he doesn't. And with publications such as this, hopefully getting into new markets, it'll be, hopefully it's not just Phantom fans picking up the Phantom in their newsagents and comic shops, but other fans or other comic fans and just general people think, wow, the Phantom, he's still out. Wow, he's looking a bit new. Wonder what's going on in there. And that's what I like about this publication. It's got the old school stuff like you might see in the Hermes, but it also gives you the new school stuff. So it's a fantastic blend of the traditional and the modern. Hopefully that keeps everybody happy, folkists and modernists and everybody in between. So that's about it. If I talk any more, it's really just me rambling. I hope you've enjoyed this video review. Please go out, if your local comic shop doesn't have The Man Who Cannot Die, You can order it from Frew. I can't speak highly enough of it. It is I have really enjoyed reading this, and I hope you do too. So this is Steve from Chronicle Chamber signing off. Happy fanning.